If you're a Townsvillian, you already know the voice of Donny from Donny Sports. He's been doing his best to crack jokes on the radio up here for the past couple of years. First on Power 100, now over controversially on Star 106.3. Originally from Brizzy, Donny has built somewhat of a loyal following on his social media through his try-hard, no-filter takes on footy, local culture, and everything in between, from recording podcasts at the Caxton Hotel to stirring the pot on TikTok. Donny's doing his best to build somewhat of a cult following, and today we've got him here on the podcast. That was my little ChatGPT intro. Did you like that one?
Are we on?
We're on, yeah.
Oh, jeez. I can't believe I got your job. How's
Dude, what's going on?
Oh, man. Not much. You know, I just finished on air this morning, and then we went and got lunch, and now I am 44 minutes late for my afternoon nap.
Would you be napping now?
I nap. I haven't figured it out yet.
So you do still nap?
I nap from time to time. If it's been a really big day, or if I just don't go to bed. Like last night, I went to bed at like 10:30.
Dude, rogue.
Yeah, I know.
Rogue.
I know.
Considering, so if you don't know, Donny, it does a breakfast radio show now on Star 106.3.
Now on Star 106.3.
Super controversial.
It's not controversial at all.
It's super controversial.
What's the controversy?
There's
no controversy.
Flying around the media. You haven't seen it.
Well, I will say
it's fucking crazy.
We announced that last Friday. And then if you're in Townsville, I don't know when this is coming out, but literally 24 hours later on the Saturday night, earthquake. So is the news that earth-shattering that it broke the crust of the earth, potentially?
You're making earth-shattering radio?
Well, if someone else can try and explain what happened, good luck.
I don't know how many of these I'll do or how much of this will even see the light of day. Maybe it's just for clips, but I was like, I might start doing a few recordings where I just chat to videographers or content creators in Townsville.
Yeah.
Because probably only as of the last 6 months or less than, since I've started doing it now full time here, there's more of us up here than I realised.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
I totally thought that it was myself, Jack, our mate Robbie, and maybe a couple of others, but there's plenty.
Yeah.
And you're not a videographer, but
No.
you do make content, and you do make video content,
yeah.
And you're a bit of a podcast veteran, so I was like, just fucking help me through this period.
I wouldn't say I'm a veteran. I definitely am good at like popping up on podcasts that are way bigger platforms than me. I'm a good weaseler.
That's a good trick,
I'm
yeah.
a good weaseler.
But you make video, like you're a great social media video maker.
Yeah.
Like even the radio show you do the in-studio videos from the show, you cut them together. So
it could be argued that was the reason I got my job, and they just wanted to save money on a digital guy, because as soon as I got hired, they put you into breakfast very quickly.
Yeah, and look how well that went. You've now got my old job.
But I thank you. I appreciate that. I think I talked to some of my friends. One of them, my mate Darcy from Bloody Brilliant Beers. I talked to him a lot, and a guy
from what?
A podcast called Bloody Brilliant Beers.
Right. You mumbled over that.
Yeah, sorry. Well, I'm not very good at
paid
speaking.
to talk.
But Darcy from Bloody Brilliant Beers in Brisbane, which is, I guess you could say, where I got my start. And then one of my other really good mates, Lukey Stowe, who works on a rugby league podcast called Levels. And those are the two guys, and obviously there's others as well, like guys like the NRL Roast. But if I keep talking, I'll go forever. But they're the guys that I talk to a lot about being like on the money about what's happening on social and then taking advantage of it. But also my mate Lukey says to me a lot, it's annoying that you know what to do, you just don't do it as much as you should. And
said that about you?
Yeah. And I think it's definitely true. I think I don't post enough on my socials.
I feel like you've been up in it the last little while.
Yeah, well, I've got a whole new breakfast show I have to act like I
but even
am here
on Donny Sports,
yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing more.
Yeah, definitely. I've just stopped caring as much, which is, I think, I go through waves of it where I care.
And that's why you're
much.
producing more?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I care a lot less about everything being perfect right now, which I'm in a luxury position to do, because I do the radio show every day for 3.5 hours where we like strive for that to be everything. Whereas now, I mean, I posted a video a week and a half ago now during the NRL in Vegas, which was literally just a selfie cam video about Australia pumping the Poms. Got 50,000, 60,000 views. It took me I'm not joking, 20 seconds. I recorded it on Instagram and uploaded it, and it was just a good enough take where it's like, but I knew when I posted it, that'll probably go.
Well, I feel like there's absolutely a really big difference depending on what your genre of content is, where the content itself And I think that's the case on a broad spectrum of any platform. The content's got to be gold, but depending on your genre, which I feel like you fit into it a bit, it's really if the content's good, the quality matters far less, especially with the stuff you're putting together.
I think that the quality of what you're doing gets you 1.5 more seconds. It does, but if you don't use it, then it's not for anything.
Yeah.
Does that make if you're really trying hard to make everything look schmick, you can almost go too far to the other side where it looks like an ad because we get. But I think how oversaturated everything is right now, you have to have something that makes you stand out. So if you have got a really nice camera, that gets you a second and a half, right, on a feed. But if you don't use that second and a half, who cares?
Yeah.
And so I see guys with like really sick setups, but then they take 2.5 minutes to get to their point.
That's what I mean. The content actually sucks.
Yeah.
Balls, so.
But also it goes the other way. Where like someone's content could be amazing, but if it looks like crap, then that you're making things hard for yourself.
Right,
so
exactly.
But absolutely, the content is like literally everything.
Everything. So you got Donny Sports, which is a podcast.
I actually just changed it. I just changed it from Donny Sports. I actually just retired it like a week and a half ago to just Donnywatkinn.
Really?
After a pretty big chat I had.
But isn't that your personal Instagram?
I've got two. I've got like my personal Instagram, which I don't really use that much, and then I'm just putting everything
Tom something,
on.
is it?
Yeah. That's Donny T Watkin, and then my actual account that I post
confusing.
everything on. Well, it's not really.
Well, so Donny T Watkin or Donnywatkinn?
Yeah. Well, Donnywatkinn is my. It's not confusing because one of them has way. I dropped the sports because actually after having a big conversation with my mate Lukey, I was down in Sydney for
the guy who tells you you're not doing enough.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And he just put it to me. He's like, "Why have you still got sports in your title?" And I was like, "Because I post sports content." He's like, "Yeah, do you think that you're not posting as much stuff right now because you're waiting for something to happen in sports when you're talking for 3.5 hours every day, not about sport, and you're just not posting?" And he's like, even though it doesn't matter that it says Donny Sports and you're not posting sports content, obviously that doesn't matter.
No.
But do you think you'd be more committed and posting more stuff if it just said Donnywatkinn and it was just you?
So now what are you going to do with your... Because now it sounds like there's a bit of a crossover where it isn't, it's a bit more you, it's a bit more stuff
100%.
and sports. Is your it's sort of like mine, your own personal Donny T Watkin.
Yeah.
Now just kind of
that's just a personal Instagram account, and I'm actually annoyed that I keep on saying it. Don't go follow that. It's my personal.
So Donny T Watkin is the
Donnywatkinn on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's just because that's my radio name. So I've been posting so much more stuff on there just because I'm like, it's just a personal Instagram account now. Essentially, I just post whatever I want on there.
Yeah. And so now you kind of got two personal Instagrams.
I guess, but
I
just don't use the other one. It's just sitting there like that, and that algorithm is nice for my reels, and it's just crook enough that I can go on there every now and then and have a nice scroll. But really, all I'm using is...
I actually use my personal one more as if I every now and then just want to scroll through some dumb shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm happy for my personal one to be filled with heaps of random shit, but I try and keep my Jack Tree Productions one about video, so that what I'm seeing is about video stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool to have like an algorithm that just feeds you like the dumb shit you want to see on your, like for me on my personal one, fails and whatever, because I don't want my Jack Tree Productions one filling up with that stuff.
Well, it's so funny, like, because I'm logged into like I think 6 Instagram accounts right now, and just the world that we live in, like how many, there's 6 there. I know when I'm on the wrong account if I'm sitting on the toilet and start scrolling.
Yeah.
And then I just sound like, this doesn't feel like my kind of content. And then I look, I'm like, oh, I'm on the Star 1063 account.
Yeah, which I still... No.
Oh, man, you would have seen the influx of followers and messages then if you're still on there.
Dude, just check it. And I'm worried because I don't think I remember my login for my own, and that's the main reason this still exists.
Oh, that you're scared to log out of everything.
Yeah, but when I hold my profile, Star and Power are still there.
Yeah.
And I think that's, even if I think anyway, this is... it doesn't matter.
But I changed it because I just wanted to make it like, yep, this is me. And like, I'm in it, like, I think it's so funny right now, like, the follower thing is just, I don't really care about that number I used to be so obsessed with, but like, for example, the Star 1063 Instagram account, that's the show where I do the show. It's got like 8,000 followers. I've got 3,000 followers. I know for a fact that if we post the exact same video on both accounts, mine has more reach. It's so hard to get a follow now. TikTok a few years ago was so easy.
Wild.
It was so easy.
Dude, even like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They do that when these platforms like want to, like apparently YouTube's in that space right now of like really promoting.
Oh yeah, if you're pushing on shorts right now.
Shorts, but also just take a look at this next time you're on and the videos it's suggesting. And people have been talking about this are from really like small creators with very little subscribers. Like
and their videos are pumping.
And who knows how long this will last, but YouTube's definitely in a phase, it seems, where they're really pushing accounts that are just trying to get up and running.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe they were finding everyone was going through this stage of like almost not bothering because trying to push through that, just getting
it's
started.
Impossible. It was like a crazy ceiling on YouTube where it's like, how do you even discover new YouTube videos? Whereas TikTok was just like a beautiful place for discovery because if someone likes something that was sitting in the same truck as something that you're posting about 6 months ago, you'll get suggested to them because they're just going bang, bang, bang. Like I got like the TikTok, I blew up on TikTok, blew up. Relatively speaking.
Okay, listen guys, this guy blew up.
Relatively speaking, compared
massive.
to what's happened on Instagram posting the same content.
Yeah.
So easily.
Yeah.
But now, if a video gets like 400,000 views on TikTok, you might get 60 followers from it, where back in the day, that would have been at least 5,000.
So Donny...
maybe not 5,000, but at least 1,000.
No longer Donny Sports, Donnywatkinn. Instagram, TikTok, podcast.
Yeah.
No YouTube.
No YouTube.
Okay.
But I'm a sicko for YouTube. I cancelled all my other subscriptions. I've only got YouTube Premium.
Oh, YouTube's the best.
YouTube
is the best.
That's all I do.
When Trace and my wife, jump on the couch at night to watch something, YouTube is just as much as an option as Netflix is.
Yeah.
As a streaming platform.
Mate, you don't know the relief on my shoulders when my now girlfriend came over and I put on a YouTube video for the first time. She's like, oh, this is cool. I'm like, oh, you have to understand this is a big deal in my culture.
Yeah.
And so last night we were watching YouTube videos instead of Netflix. I was like, this is honestly what I'd be doing every day.
And so, obviously, audio medium, but like plenty of, back to it, plenty of visual content, of course, on the Instagram and TikTok. So that started in Brisbane where you're from. But like, how old were you and when did that start and why and what did you start with and did you feel like an imposter at the time?
Yeah, 100%. It all started when I was in a rugby league Supercoach competition with my mates and I made an Instagram page to make fun of them. We just drafted. I flew down to Brisbane 2 weeks ago to draft in this competition. It runs our life. There's no money if you win. It's just pride and there is a trophy.
Yeah.
But it's like we love it so much, and I started the page because there was no one making Supercoach draft content.
What year?
2020.
What?
Had to be 2020 because now the league's been going on for.
No way.
Yeah, at least 2020.
I thought it was that's sooner than I realised.
Yeah, 2020 I started making stuff.
So,
rarely.
So you hadn't done a podcast of your own before 2020?
No, I had.
Whoa.
When I was young, not even 18 yet, I was doing stand-up comedy. And so this was, when was I 18? 10 years ago. And me and this kid, Sean McCarthy, who's a lovely guy who I haven't spoken to in easily 5 years now. He was even younger than me. We were doing stand-up comedy and we were running rooms for people that weren't 18 because you couldn't perform in pubs and clubs.
Right.
So we had this government-funded building called Visible Inc. in Fortitude Valley where they'd let us hire the room for free and we'd put on these things called Young Blood Comedy and we'd have a night of like under 18s stand-up comedy and it was very fun. And I had just heard of podcasts 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, we should do a stand-up comedy podcast about how our journey doing stand-up. And it went really well at the start. Our second guest was Rove McManus. Was it Will Anderson's was on it. Tom Ballard, who used to do Triple J Breakfast, was on it.
Wait, Tom Ballard?
Remember Tom and Alex on Triple J Breakfast? Blonde guy. Yeah. So we had all these guys that I was looking up to like crazy come on 10 years ago.
When you were like 17?
I would have been not 18 yet. Would have been 17 years old.
Wow.
We're just like, we want to do a podcast. We had Rove.
Wow, yeah, like two pews.
Lewis
maybe?
Spears, who's now pretty big on YouTube. He had just started doing stand up because they're like, "What's a podcast?" Yeah, I'll do a podcast. And so I started doing that, but then life got in the way, and I stopped doing stand up. And just stopped doing podcasts. So I guess technically that was the first ever Trash Talk was the name of the podcast.
Yeah, right.
And we had a fringe show called Trash Talk for this. It was a very fun time. But we were 17, didn't know what we were doing. But this current iteration of what I'm doing and who I am, 2021, 2022 is when I really started. The podcast, I did the page for at least a year and a half before I started doing a podcast. And I only did the podcast to clip farm more content.
What does that mean?
So I only did the podcast so that I could sit down for 45 minutes. The podcast was on my own.
Yeah.
Just no guests or anything.
Oh, just you?
Just me. 45 minutes talking about what happened in rugby league that week. So then I could clip it and upload that. And now I was like, it's just going to be a way better use of my time.
To social media.
Because, to social media. Put it on Instagram. It was a way better use of my time. And then I chucked it on Spotify or whatever. It was just a way better use of my time to do that rather than I was sitting down every day. I got home from work making a video every day. And it just,
of yourself talking?
Yeah, and it just got monotonous where I was like, how do I...
A video every day of what?
So it started with news, NRL news. I saw a gap in the market where this was... Now the NRL content creation space is hilarious. Like my favourite podcast in that space called Hello Sport, they just sponsored their boyhood rugby league club, Manly. They've just sponsored the stadium, the Hill, right? So from where we've started to where we are now in rugby league content creation is hilarious. But back then, I was like, there's definitely content creators and there's definitely people doing stuff. But I have a bit of a video editing background. I just taught myself back in the day. No one's really making really short, engaging content. And I wanted to make a news video. It was the off season and I was like, okay, I'll sit down and I'll make 1.5 minutes long. These are the 3 updates today. And then I edited it on Sony Vegas on an old laptop, and I went to upload it, and it goes, this is too big for Instagram at the time. Reels were only allowed to be unlimited for certain people. So I go, shit, how am I going to get that down to 60 seconds? And I tried my best, and I got it down to 60 seconds, redid it, and then I went to upload it again, and my account had actually been locked to 30-second reels at the time. That's how new reels were. And I was like, there's no way I can do this in 30 seconds. It's impossible to do 3 news stories. But I figured it out, and I uploaded it in a 30-second hit, and it just went for me. And like now one of my really good friends, Dean Messiter, who runs a page called the NRL Roast, reposted my first news video, and I went, I'm onto something here, I reckon.
At the time he reposted it.
Yeah, he reposted it, and he texted me straight away. He asked for my number and called me. He goes, mate, this is what we need. This is really good. This is awesome. That really gave me a kick on, but that having to make it 30 seconds, if I was allowed to post 1.5 minute video the first time, I would have never, ever got it, I don't think.
When you get started, if you were allowed to post 5 minutes, you probably would have.
Exactly. So the fact that I was literally, it's either 30 seconds or it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
That really got me into this whole thing of like, okay, every second is so important. And I still feel that way. Yeah. If I can make a video 30 seconds, and absolutely.
This was so like 21.
Yeah, 2021 or 2022.
That's not even that long ago, dude.
No.
We're only just in 25.
Yeah. So it's all happened very quickly.
And so what were you filming yourself on?
I was filming myself on my iPhone.
Yeah.
And it was
what, 13?
It would have been a 13, yeah. And it was a punish because I didn't have a Mac at the time. So then to get the files from my iPhone, I had to use some random AirDrop emulator on my old work laptop to get it onto Sony Vegas 12. And I was editing it that way. And
that's when you made the account Donny Sports?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then after...
And so, right. So you were doing these videos... Sure, you'd put it up on Spotify maybe, but it was primarily for
100%
little bits of video content.
Yeah.
Which, that like you said, that stuff was around at the time, but I still feel like you were jumping into a little pocket there where, like you said, especially in that like genre of content, not so much.
No one was doing it.
Interesting for you to be like, having not really done that stuff before, clicked on to be like, and you were forced to, the 30-second thing, but then being like, oh, that's dope. Like, let me get more of this out.
100%.
How many times a week were you doing that?
There was a period there where I was making a video every day. So it was 7 videos a week.
And before this period, you weren't doing anything like this?
Nothing.
What made you...
I was running a steel fabrication shop with my parents.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I knew that. You're working in a steel fabrication. So what all of a sudden made you go, I'm just going to,
just
not even a lead in, just
I've always had like a creative outlet. And there was a long period in my life there for about 5 years where all I was able to focus on was work because of personal things, and I had to lock in, and my dad was really sick, and I just had to do work, and there was really no other option. Yeah. And I was in a very long-term relationship. I was getting married, and it was like, all right, well, that was really fun in my youth and whatever, but like now I have to lock in and be an adult. And then I just always had it in the back of my mind. It was just always there. And then I think when I was consuming a lot of rugby league content.
Right.
And a lot of these guys are my friends now too. And I think that they have way better insight to me into the game. But at the time, I was like, I can make these videos better than anyone else is making them in that niche. Yeah. I just felt like I could. And
that's crazy. Like, it's not even like because I've got all this practice.
No.
It's just you're like, I could probably do it better just because I think I can.
Yeah, I was like, I think I can. And then I feel like I did. I was like, no one was putting subtitles on videos. That was before captions existed. I was like, okay, it's going to be more. I was like, I read a stat, 80% of videos people watch on mute. I'm like, okay, well, I'm talking. This isn't a fail video. They have to hear what I'm saying. I was manually inputting the captions, like writing them out every night, word by word, and making them max 5 words on the screen.
Not fixing them, actually writing them out.
Actually writing them.
And you knew then to make them only like a handful of words on screen.
It's got to change every second and a half.
That's nuts that you already had the nous to know all that.
Yeah, well, it's just like I consume so much content, right?
Yeah.
So you consume so much, you know what's good and you know what's bad. And I think that's the filter you always have to put things through. I think you get lost when you're doing work for other people. And even when at the building that we used to work in, ARN with the radio, people can get lost where they go, okay, this is my job, because like no one puts 100% into their job every time because they're getting paid for it and it's going to be there tomorrow and it's going to be there next week. But if you don't put everything you post through the filter of, would I care if I watched this on my phone?
Seriously.
You have to. You have to watch it as a viewer that doesn't know who you are, doesn't care who you are, and you're fighting with 7 billion other people for their attention.
I say that to my clients a lot. I'm like, after we've talked through the conception of what a video might look like, I'm like, now tell me, do you reckon you'd stop down on that? Seriously, yeah, that's a filter you got to look through. Okay, cool. Well, I didn't know that was really not that long ago at all.
No.
Well, fast forward to. You're in content. I know Power 100, the station at the time, they were looking for someone. You got approached by Archie. Let's fast forward. You got the job. You made it up here. Now you're talking on the radio, which, by the way, myself having worked in radio for 10 years, rare as fuck that you're going to get an opportunity like that just to land on a breakfast show. So that's awesome. But you're still creating videos. Again, it's a slightly different type. But it's still like it's such a major skill set to know everything you just said instinctively. Well, you were consuming a lot, but like little things like subtitles when you didn't realize you're really, really, really good at making that engaging, narrated content. And obviously that's what helped you got the job up here. But you've moved up to Townsville and now you're doing radio, but you're still doing a lot of video stuff because you're making the in-studio videos. I know you have shot stuff that isn't for like you shoot your own shit. You still do your own podcast, make those videos. But you also make videos that's sort of just about yourself getting to work and things like that. So I still do consider you a video creator and editor. And so now that you're living up here in Townsville, and like you said, you've discovered that there's more creators up here also, what do you reckon it's like? Is there any difference, do you feel? Because I've not been I don't feel like I'm a content creator. I'm more of a videographer. I create what I would like to think are clean videos for other clients. But do you think there's a difference between being a content creator, because I feel like you are up here in Townsville as opposed to in Brisbane?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I still don't consider myself a content creator.
What are you creating then?
I don't know.
I'd call it content.
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like I've got a job. Up here, I think it's just been so freeing for me to not have to think about anything other than the content. Has been so good for me because just the lifestyle up here. Obviously, my job makes that easier as well. But that's been the best thing about living up here for me is like my whole life now is it is content at the end of the day. It's the show. The show is everything. Like that is my whole life. And I love Townsville, but I'm here because of the show. I don't want to leave anytime soon, at all. I absolutely love it. I've been a Cowboys fan my whole life. This all marrying up as it has been ridiculously perfect. But that's allowed me, because I'm fully in now, all I care about is the show. And it's been really hard to change my goalposts on what success is. Like really, really hard. Because in Brisbane, I had 2 jobs. Like I had a content job at a wagering company, I had my full-time job at the steel shop, and I was doing my podcast and I was doing the Bloody Brew and Beers podcast. And success for those 2 things when you're just on socials as a content creator is views and downloads. Whereas now my success is, was that funny or was that not funny? And that's been really challenging, but also super freeing. That now when I get home and I post it in studio, say it'll get 50 likes, it feels like they're way more important to me than 50,000 on a Donny Sports video. And I can't explain why. It's just like, they're harder to get. 50 likes on a radio video is harder to get than maybe not 50,000, but 5,000, for example, on a TikTok video of me in my bedroom is so much easier. So I think up here, I'm just in a really unique position where I don't feel like a Townsville content creator, but the ability to just go all in on it, I feel like has made me so much better at it.
Do you know if there's much of, because I know from a videography standpoint, there's quite a few of those up here, but do you know, because I don't know this because it's not the kind of content I consume, but are there others like similar to yourself in North Queensland?
NRL guys or just sports guys?
Sports guys making that sort of stuff?
There's this podcast called On the Ranch. That's a Cowboys podcast. I'm sure there's others up here. I'm pretty blinders on though. I'm not that have made themselves aware to me. I think that's what's really interesting about Instagram and TikTok is like it doesn't really matter where you are, right? I mean, being able to do what I do with Robbie, I do a podcast with him. That could only happen up here, I guess. But no, that's not true because it's just because we both live up here. I don't know. I don't know that there's others around us. There's other content creators, like guys like Jimmy Judge, the Garn guys up here.
Well, even Jimmy Judge moved to Brisbane recently.
I think he's just doing videos down there.
What do you reckon is like for anyone who wants to be a content creator? I know you don't think of yourself as one, but you are. Yours just happens to be a bit more about sport now with the radio.
Yeah.
Other random things.
Way more broad, yeah.
Guys like Jimmy Judge, who was doing it up here, do you reckon it's worth it? Is there any...
100%.
Like, why? And if anyone's like, oh, I don't really know if my shit's good, like, what would you say?
It's not.
Your shit's not good.
It's definitely not. If you're just starting, of course it's not. I see videos of myself when I first started, even the stuff that I was saying, Roasty posted it. He didn't repost that because it was going to win a Logie. He reposted it because it was the only thing like it at that very moment. Now everyone does it, right? I'm not saying I'm a trailblazer, but there's just more people with access to cameras, right? But your shit does suck at the start. That's just is what it is. Like but what I said to my sister, she started posting TikToks, right? My little sister.
Right.
She started posting a daily TikTok, and they just weren't getting any views, right? But I said to her, I think these are good. And it's impossible for good content to go unnoticed indefinitely.
Right.
It's just not possible. We're just all too connected. So if you show up every single day and you don't care what that number is, if you are actually just making your shit just a little bit better every time you post it, it doesn't matter how many views it gets because eventually it will be found by the people that need to find it. If you're posting good stuff every day, it doesn't matter. It will eventually be found. It's impossible. It can't happen. And then if it feels like you've been posting for 2 years and nothing's happening, are you improving on every post?
I feel like that's got to be rare. Where if you have been doing it for every day for 2 years, you've probably gotten better.
But I guess another thing is like, what do you want out of it? Is also another question.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky then and I'm very lucky now. I don't want to be rich and famous because I make TikTok videos.
What did you want out of it at the time? Before?
I wanted to be more connected with like-minded people that were creative, and I wanted to just have more, I guess, I wanted to be closer to the sport. I wanted to be, closer to the sport, I guess. And I feel like I am. I like the friends that I have now, my whole life, I wouldn't have had if I didn't start making videos. I still have my day one mates who I did the draft with 2 weeks ago, right? But the majority of my friends now, to 80% of my mates, are people that I would have never met. And I was really looking for community. And I really feel like I have that now, where I just get to talk to like-minded people most days. But I think that's, if you are like, I don't know if my stuff is good enough, 100% it's probably not. If you've never posted a video before, how could it be? It doesn't make sense. You have no data to work off. So you have no idea what's good and what's bad.
So consistency, basically.
Yeah, and it's hard and it sucks, and I don't do it. Like, I don't do it nearly as much as I should. But I do a 3.5 hour breakfast show every day now. So like that's where I'm putting my consistency into. I'm like, I want that to be the most consistent thing in my life. I know if I get fired tomorrow, I'll just go back to doing what I was doing because I know the formula of like, this is what you do. But no, absolutely don't care. You have to not care. I feel like someone said this to me once. You're on a cringe mountain until you're getting paid for it, right? And then all of a sudden you're really cool. So like when you start, the stuff that you do is super cringy, and your friends are going to be like, oh, here he goes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's making another video.
Oh, dear.
Oh, here we go. And then like, why are you doing that? Oh, you got the phone out again. That's going to happen. They're your mates.
Yeah.
And then there'll be people that might see your video and think that you're bad, and they might give you a mean comment. But then eventually, once it becomes your full-time job, they go, oh, I really like that guy. He's actually, I enjoy his content. But you just have to not care, and you just have to, if you believe in what you're doing, then it doesn't matter. Like, maybe ask yourself that. If you're scared that your stuff isn't good, why do you think that? Make the video better.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it's not because you don't have the new Sony.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. It's so true.